Good morning and a happy new year. And today is Ace 8 of clubs. So, in this game, we have under the gun limps. I have 13 hands on him, and typically, when a player limps, it is a very speculative hand. So, I eliminate like queens plus, ace queen, jacks could probably be eliminated. I think he has something that is he's hoping to see a flop with and try to flop, but he is afraid to raise it. And suited connectors may or may not be there. I don't know. So on us, we look at it and we are in mid position. We're the low jack seat. And I like to consider a big part of it as I'm raising first in. Now I do look at what hands, are there any hands that I could get rid of because we have a limper and he's likely to call. On the button, I have a much wider range than I do in mid position, and I get rid of on the button I get rid of those offsuit aces. I get rid of those suited kings, which again I might be a little bit too tight for doing that, but that's just kind of how I've been playing. Here, though, my range is fairly tight. So if I was going to get rid of any hands and not raise first in, it's going to be probably these gappers, these, Jack 9, 10, 8, 9, 7. But I don't really see a reason to do that. He's playing, he limped, so he's going to be fairly weak. So I raise, in this case, I raise 4 big blinds, so 3 plus a limp. I don't think that's big enough. I should be raising 5 or 6 big blinds, or I should say 5 to 7 big blinds, easy. Probably lean towards 5 or 6, because when I look at the players behind us, this player we have 2,000 hands, and he seems to be tight aggressive. He doesn't really call 2-bets a lot, so if he calls my raise, he's going to have a pretty solid hand. I think we could play pretty well against him. Everyone else, this guy may be loose, playing 45-9 over 11 hands, but I just don't know a lot of these players. If I'm playing players that tend to call these smaller bets more often, then I could size up to try to get heads up versus him to isolate. But I think 4 is going to be okay. And what happens is we do get a caller. He's an unknown. So what is he going to call? I think he's calling speculative. We've got 9 hands on him, so all that we can do is really just kind of guess what he's calling with. So I think what we can do is get rid of like the queens plus, ace king. I think those hands are going to be 3 bets. I think these hands could possibly be call questionable. Are these offsuit hands? Suited aces might be calling. Suited broadways, we're at like 17% there. I think we're going to keep it. And then the guy that limped, I think once we have a caller, I think he's probably just going to call his entire range. So we're going to see a flop. So pre-flop range, I have 16.4%. I have 218 combos. Flop comes down ace 8-2. So pretty dry board. It's a high card board. So ace of hearts, 8 of diamonds, 2 of clubs. My range's equity is 41.5, and that's versus 2 players. This figures to hit me hard. Probably isn't going to hit this player as much. Yeah, he could have a pair, but he doesn't have a huge number of aces. Villain 8's more likely to have some aces, have these suited aces, but one's on the board makes it less likely aces are going to be in the hand. So I think pretty standard here would be a cbet. However, I think we have to consider, what are they going to call it with? Do they have hands that they could call second best hands, or are they just gonna fold? So villain 4 checks. I'm going to assume that he checks everything. I don't have any stats on donking the flop, and now it's on us. What do? This is a pretty dry board. I think if we bet, I think we're going to generate a lot of folds. When we think about what cards is he going to call? Yeah, they could call top pair. Yeah, they could call maybe these pocket pair below the top cards, and maybe the middle pair. But like this is 12% between these two. Um, you don't have really have straight draws. Yeah, you've got a gut shot, with the 5-4, but you don't have open enders. You don't have flush draws. I think you're just going to get a whole lot of folds here. And while that's good with a lot of our hands, I think we will probably want to uh, increase our frequency or increase our EV. Play in a way to try to maximize how much money we actually make. I'm not too worried. The turn's not going to come and completely destroy me unless we're up against the pair and that turn card, gives them trips. So even early position player, if I bet, so I think if I bet this the player to act behind me is probably just going to fold, pocket pair below the top cards. I think he's going to only call top pair plus. With maybe the gut shot, that's 35% of hands. He's going to be folding 65%. Huge fold frequency. And I think he's doing that because of villain 4. He has a player behind him. Now, if I check, what is villain, or if I bet and we have a fold, what does villain 4 do? Definitely, I think he calls top pair. But you note that he doesn't really have any of these draws. So, just top pair plus is 18%. He's folding over 80% at the time. If he calls pocket pair, the like 9 cents jacks, if he calls the 8, if he connected, he's still calling only 39%. So 61% of the time he's folding. They're folding a huge percent. So I kind of think if we slow it, we might get some some more money. So what do we do? I think the question comes down what can we check behind? What can we bet for value? So my 2-card backdoor flush draws, I think our hands on this board, I think this is a board that we can bet have quite a few bluffs to take it down. And the most obvious ones are going to be these 2-card backdoor flush draws. So if I do all of the 2-card backdoor flushes, that's 33% of my hands. I don't think we're going to be betting all of our top pair. So like our yeah, I mean we could bet our sets. I actually do think probably our sets. We're gonna hope that they've connected with some ace. And I think our top pair. I think hands that we're gonna bet. Maybe these ace 3, ace 4, ace 5, ace 6. Maybe all the way up to the ace 10, possibly. I think we're gonna bet. So we do have like top pair good kicker. I think maybe 2 pair we check. And top card, I think like kings, queens, jacks, we're gonna check. We're gonna be betting like 9s, 10. I think 9s, 10s, and jacks we're gonna bet. So check kings and queens. Because if we're ahead, we're gonna stay ahead. But if we're behind, it's gonna be very hard for us to improve. Do I really do that with a set? I think that might be it. I'm curious to see what a solver says in this spot. So that's like my checking range or my betting range, 51.9%. So what do? I checked it. So about 50% of the time I check, and you can see I have about 2 to 1 bluff to value, and I think that's pretty good because I think I'm going to generate a lot of folds. So let's get Some of these done. Okay. Maybe the middle pairs and these pocket pairs below second cards, those maybe could be bets. We're going to eliminate those. All right, so that's my checking range. And then villain 8 checked. So if I checked and it gets around a villain, we have to think about what hands would he have bet. I think he would have bet his top pair hands. Maybe not all of them, but I think so. I think top pair plus would have bet. I think nines, tens, and jacks are probably going to check. So I think he's checking something like that. I think his check, by the act of checking, it's making him look weak. All right, so we are going to see the board or see the turn. And again, I'm just not. I think this is a pretty decent one to review. I think the bet versus check with our hand with our two pairs could go either way. All right, so two of diamonds. It's actually pretty good. So if anyone has an ace, I think they're going to call turn and river at this point. I think over pairs going to be called, or under pairs are going to call. So tens, jacks, queens. Now they have two pair. I mean, I had a reason to bet. I think people are going to be less likely to believe that I have an ace. And maybe that's what I messed up is realizing that anyone with an ace is going to be calling, but in my mind, I'm thinking not a huge number of people. That's not going to be a large percentage of the time. So villain 4 checks. I'm going to say I'm not surprised. He's probably going to be checking 100% here again, and now it's on us. That's actually a pretty decent card, and I don't think we should slow play anymore because I think we're going to have diamond draws can call. I think the eights it can call now. Pocket pair could call because they have two pair, and everyone showed weakness, so they're thinking, well, maybe my pair is good. I'll call once. So I think for us, we're going to be betting our top pair hands that we have. I think kings and queens we're going to bet. I think we're going to try to probably. I think we're betting these because eights and nines and tens are all going to call, so we'll get some value and we'll see if we get position. If villain 8 calls, then we're probably going to have to bet the river. But if 8 folds and villain 4 calls, we have our option of checking the river. But I think we can probably get a little bit of value from kings and queens. Middle pair, I don't think so. I think we're going to be probably check call. And this is the kings and queens. We could probably check call with those as well. But I think top pair should be betting for value. And when you look at our draws, I don't have any flush draws, so really this is just for value. I don't really have any bluffs here. Against two other opponents, you might need to be a little bit tight. So what do? I bet half pot. I'm going to leave kings and queens out. I think this could be a check call with a hand as strong as those. And then villain 8 raises and villain 4 folds. So this player folds. And let's get this guy's turn range. So his flop range is this. This is 67%. He has 130 combos, and then the turn card was the 2 of diamonds. Okay, so when the 2 diamonds hit, my equity is 75%. Their equity is 25%, 75, 25. So we're ahead. So then my turn range, I bet. So I'm going to say that that's my betting range. And then he raised. Now, what hands is he going to raise? I don't have like any strong hands in here. Maybe he raises with the flush draw. Um, maybe with that gut shot, the 5-4 diamonds. Um, I don't really have any strong hand in his range, and maybe he's doing that with nines, tens, and jacks because he doesn't believe that I have the ace, and possibly even like 8-7. So what if it's like a combo draw? Um, what if it's a combo draw? I don't really think three of a kind. I think we're gonna go with those. Let's say that that's his raising range. And for us, what do we do? I think we're gonna probably have to call. I think folding's gonna be a little way too tight. I think normally people raise um, when they mean when they have trips. Um, hmm. But I showed weakness. I showed weakness by checking, and to have him raise me could mean that he thinks I'm stealing the pot. Now he's gonna bet. I have a lot of top pairs. And maybe I get rid of like the ace jacks. And maybe even the ace queens. But it just seems odd for him to raise at this point. Like, would he have raised with the two? I don't know. I don't know why. Um, Board's still pretty dry. I mean, the diamond draw just got out there. This looks like he's making a play that he doesn't believe that I have an ace, that because I should have cbet. So I called. Turn was a 10 of spades. And based on my analysis, I'm way ahead. But he raised, so I think I'm just gonna check, see what he does. Probably call, so I'm gonna be checking it. I think I'm gonna be checking basically my entire range. I'm gonna hope that that if he has uh, like my good two pair or a full house, I think with the full house, I'm hoping that he somehow tries to stab at it again, because I don't believe he has a very strong hand, and I think if I bet here, he's gonna fold all of his hands that miss that diamond draw. Um, so I checked and villain 8 checked, and that's kind of what I think is. I think he's betting his full house. Um, but I don't think he's betting the jacks. I think he took his stab at the pot and missed. So what does he have? I have the two pair. He shows ace 9. Does he have that? No, because I didn't have that in his range. Because I assumed top pair would have bet at this point. So maybe he doesn't. Maybe like he'd only bet like ace queen. And then when we get that 2 of diamonds out there, he does have top pair. And would he really raise? Yeah, I think so with that flush draw. So maybe it's all part of the flush draw. Not necessarily raise that high with all his top pair, but he would with top pair at, with the combo draw. All right, I didn't get this. Didn't get his hand. I didn't have that diamond. So we take a note on him, and we've got play turn draw aggressively, and just so we know that he has that. All right. Hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.